Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So finally gonna get some video of harvest. I know we've been so busy with the house and shop and all that, and sand trap on the river and some other excavating work. We're finally gonna get some harvest video, so let's get started here. Well, let's go see if we can pick any. Yesterday we tried, and it was a little too wet yet. Kind of tells the story there on my head, all the stuff stuck to it, and nasty looking. So all next week's supposed to be nothing but rain, so we're gonna try to get some today. It is, let's see, what is today? Oh, Saturday, November 16th. Last night was the big Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight, and that was the most scripted thing I ever seen. It kind of was embarrassing to the sport of boxing. I wish Mike Tyson would just laid him out, but, and I'm not even somebody that's into boxing, but I know there was enough crap talking between the two that I thought that somebody was going to get knocked out, but nobody ever got knocked out. That was a little upsetting. But like I said, I'm not a boxing fan. I never really have watched it or anything, but just kind of tuned in on a couple live feeds of it and was watching it. Just something interesting, you know. I've seen it advertised on social media for the last, well, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, pretty heavy, and then kind of a letdown, you know, kind of boring. Thought he would have knocked him out, but I don't know. Must have been some money to be made off of not letting anybody get knocked out. But I thought that's what boxing was all about. Maybe not. I'm sure somebody will have something to say about it in the comments. Get down here to where we left off. Now, I've been actually in the combine quite a bit, just haven't been in it long enough each day to really get a video. This corn's got some weeds that came in kind of late into it, so there's, oh, you gonna do this to me today? My grain elevator alarm going off again. It's still a little tough yet, but my clean grain elevator alarm, it's been going off intermittently. Last year, thought I had it fixed, got it out of the shed, started picking corn with it. It was fine, no problems. And then all of a sudden, we were picking there at the shop, and it started going off. Well, then it stayed off for the longest time, and it's been off ever since. And now it's back on today. So I need to check into some things. I guess that shaft speed monitor runs through a moisture sensor or something somewhere in the clean grain elevator, and it could be a connection issue I gotta find, but I haven't messed with it because it's been fine. It hasn't been an issue. This corn also suffered a pretty long period of hot and dry in the last part of its growing season also here. But I gotta do something with that worm. It drives me nuts. Speed this head up just a hair. There we go. Run it up to about 640 RPM on the head. That is something I really like about this John Deere combine, is I can sit here and speed up and slow down the head like I can on the gleaners if the hydraulic shiv on the gleaners don't leak. The hydraulic variable speed shiv. The IH combines, you can't do that. You have to change sprocket size. Seems like things are going pretty good. It's dried out enough. So I did fix, I know I talked about this in a video cutting beans, my cab issue, my environmentals in here, my climate control. I had talked about last fall when I go from hot to cold, or from cold to hot in the afternoons, you know, because some middays, you know, get pretty warm in here and you want to run the AC because of the sun beating on the cab and things like that. And in general, combine kind of gets warm, so it gets the cab warm. When I would go from that cold to hot, it'd be like a rainforest in here, and the windshield would just turn to moisture. It was just terrible. I'd have to take this little squeegee and constantly squeegee the windshield, and it was just a pain. So I wanted to address that issue before I even started harvest with this machine. So I took it to my new shop and I put it in there, and I pulled the buddy seat out, and under the buddy seat is where all the environmentals for the cab are. I discovered that there is a little like kind of a foam screen in front of the air conditioner condenser and the heater core. That was plugged up solid with just, I don't know what you call it, lint from clothes, cigarette smoke, things like that. So I took that out, got a new one of those. I pulled the cab air filter out of the side of the cab. That wasn't really blocked, but I discovered behind that there's a plastic set of louvers. It's like a cartridge deal. That cartridge deal is completely packed with stink bugs and bean dust and all kinds of stuff. Above that, there's a duct that runs up the cab corner, or the actual frame of the cab, and across the top of the cab door, it breathes through the top of the cab right there. That duct was completely plugged with all kinds of bean dust and things like that. And then part of it across the top of the cab where it actually breathes its air was plugged up. So I cleaned all that out. I took a piece of 12-2 house wire and I used it to run up and down that tube in the cab post. And I bent a hook on the end of that wire and I put it in the chuck of my drill, and I run it so it was like kind of a drain cleaner, and got all that bean dust and all that knocked out of that duct. And then I went back down under the buddy seat down there, and there was, I think there was 2 or 3 sensors for the climate control. I pulled all those sensors out. They were all balled up with nasty stuff. I cleaned all those off, got all that cleaned up. I reassembled everything and put a new filter. There's a filter back there behind the buddy seat. There's a little compartment you lift out, and there's a filter down in there. I changed that filter. That actually sucks air from inside the cab and recirculates it. Cleaned all that up, and I haven't had a problem since. It has dried up this cab. I have absolutely no moisture on the windshield. I can change from hot to cold without an issue. It's just been excellent. So that problem is fixed. So the way it works is underneath the buddy seat you have your blower motor that actually circulates the air through your vents in the combine that blows on you. And then you have a cabin pressurizer fan that actually sucks air from outside. It comes in above the cab door. It sucks through that vent goes down the cab post and gets fed into the air box where the big round cabin air filter is. And that keeps that all pressurized, and it keeps a pressurization on the cab of the combine. And that keeps, the dust from coming in around the door and any other maybe small leaks that the cab might have. It pressurizes it to the point where it pushes that back out of the cab instead of allowing it to come into the cab. So what was happening is the cab was just kind of recirculating air that it already had in it, and it wasn't drawing from anything outside, and that was causing the whole issue with the moisture on the windshield, and that there was not enough airflow. It was actually a combination of a few things. Those sensors being all nasty, they weren't sensing properly, so it wasn't allowing the climate control to switch back and forth from AC to heat, or if it needed some defrost to keep everything cleaned up. So basically, if you have an issue with one of these cabs, go through and clean everything in the environmentals, and that probably will resolve your problem. I mean, this combine's got 6,000 engine hours on it, so that means it's got 6,000 hours of run time on the actual cab interior. So that stuff's been running for 6,000 hours, so imagine the amount of air that has went through it and the amount of things that it's picked up out of the air. So it just needed a good cleaning. Now, I do think that the AC does need to be maybe recharged because it's not quite as cold as it should be, but we don't have the issue with the moisture on the windows. And we're already this late in the season. I really don't need the AC anyways. So next fall, I'll recharge that before we go to the field. The only other things that I found wrong with the combine was the fan hub for the cooling fan, the engine fan. The bearings were out of it, so we had to have that redone. Basically, we had to have the whole cast iron piece that bolts to the engine block that holds the fan. That had to be all replaced. Had to get one that was like $1,600. But at least we don't have to worry about the engine fan coming off now and going through the radiator and intercooler and all that, because that'll wipe out a lot of stuff. Well, Dad's full. And the variable speed cleaning fan, I had to put new bolts. Not actually the variable speed pulley, the driver pulley, but the driven pulley. I had to put all new bolts and springs, and there's some just some bushings in there. I had to change those out. It was missing 2 bolts and 2 springs, I noticed, so fixed all that stuff. But other than that, got this combine out of the shed, cleaned the cab up, done what service work needed to be done. I greased it all real good and took it to the field. So this has been a real good combine. For those of you new to the channel, I got this combine, well, new to me, last fall when my M3 went down. The shaft across the bottom of the feeder house on the M3 broke, and just so happened that after that broke, I went back to running the grain cart for Dad, because I figured, well, I'll just finish out the day running the cart so we get something done. And my buddy Drew Swanson from Castonia Tractor called and said, "Hey, you looking for a combine?" I said, "Matter of fact, I am. What do you got?" Thinking, oh, he's going to have something that's way out of my price range. And he said, "I got a John Deere 9650 for 20 grand. I was like, I'm going to come look at it. So I went and looked at it. Really liked what we seen. So I bought it. Ended up buying the 2 heads for it. And got it home. It's been a good combine for us. I really like it. You know, I never owned a John Deere combine until this, and I grew up with red combines, and then, you know, I started dabbling with the Gleaner combines and had fun with them, and got into this Deere. Now, I had ran one back in the day because my uncle had bought one, and so I had a little bit of experience with one, but as far as owning one, never actually had a John Deere, and I like it. I didn't get to cut any beans with it like I wanted to this fall, but that's all right. I mean, Dad had already had the beans cut and done. I got to cut a little with the 2388, so I did cut some, but just it was to the point where we were about done, and I just got this combine back together, the fan hub and all that, and it just didn't make sense to switch the combine over to go cut, you know, 20 acres of beans and then switch back to corn. So we just finished up with the 2388. That alarm would shut off by now. Sometimes it does. It might shut off the next time I cycle the machine. I did muffle it a little bit. I put some tape over the speaker for it. So the other night I got my lights put up in my shop. I'm going to do a video on how I done that because I feel like the way I did it was pretty creative. I went and got the 8-foot long LED shop lights. I ordered them off Amazon. You can get 12 of them in a box and for $189. So I ordered 2 boxes of them, and that allowed me 4 rows of 6. What I did was I ordered some magnets with a threaded hole, and a bolt that threads in that hole was actually a Phillips head screw, but it's a bolt type thread. I took the clips from the lights and I drilled the holes out in them so that the bolt would fit through, and I screwed the clips to the magnets and then snapped the clip and the magnet to the back of the light, linked them all together with their cords that link them together, and used Cousin Matt's scissor lift and stuck them right to the ceiling, right to the metal ceiling. So the cool thing about that is it's totally customizable. Nothing is solid to the ceiling. So if you want to, you can get up there and you can just pull them down and move them around. And the magnets are strong enough that you actually pull the light out of the clips before you pull the magnets off the tin. So I thought it was a pretty clever idea because I didn't have to drill any holes in the new ceiling. Didn't have to take the time of trying to, you know, be up in the scissor lift trying to drill all these, pre-drill the holes, put the screws in, because the little screws they come with are not very well made, and they don't like to go through the tin on their own. They're not actually like a true self-tapping screw. So it worked out real well. And the cool thing is also, if you accidentally drive in there with something too tall and catch a light, it's not going to rip a hole in the tin, ripping the brackets out or the screws out. It's just going to slide the magnets or just knock it down. So I'll do a video on that when the time comes, because I had to order some more magnets. I ran out, so I was a few magnets short of putting the last 4 lights up. So I'll do some video on that, show you how I did it. Now I'm going to probably make some that go on the sidewalls also. And because I experimented with putting some just 4-foot shop lights that I had on the walls. And I kind of like that, because when you have a combine in there and you have the side panels open, it helps to get light underneath the side panels of the combine. So it worked out kind of well. So been kind of experimenting with stuff in the shop as far as lighting. Turned out real nice. I'll slap a picture up in the video here of when we got them done. I had my Uncle Jamie come over, and he offered to come over and help the one night. He got done pouring the porch caps on the house. He's like, well, I'll come back and help you get those lights put up. And his guy Dustin that works for him, he came with. My dad came over and got them all put up, and got them kind of temporarily wired for now. I'm gonna have my electrician run me some conduit up and across that's got a wire that's switched, and I'm gonna put 4 receptacles up and run the cords for the lights into the receptacles and just plug them in. So each row will be plugged in. And then that way, you know, I just walk in, flip one switch, and all my lights come on. Well, I got a little behind in video today, and we got this finished up though. So I'm gonna unload the combine, and I'm gonna run down to my 58-acre farm down the road here and start picking there tonight. So we'll have that truck to fill. We'll unload what's on the combine on this one, and Dad will dump what he's got, and then that'll keep this farm separate from that farm. We'll just run this in Monday. It's supposed to rain all next week, so we're trying to get everything we can get done tonight done. We need to hook our 3rd trailer up. I gotta put new bushings in the 8-bag air ride on the Blue Kenworth first before we can hook the other trailer up. Alright, we'll get this unloaded and we'll head to the next field. Well, we made it here. Almost hit a deer on the way here. Nice thing is my elevator alarm has been staying off. So I'm gonna open this up a little bit here. Skipped over a few rows. Just get some room to get turned around. Corn here on the ends. Got a little hot and dry. Shut them stripper blades down a little bit. Off of this driveway. I first started farming it, we had to bury a tile. I think that's when we first got the HX220 Hyundai excavator. That was the first spring we had it. We used it to put the tile in. Well, we dug the trench first with Little Richard, the EX60 Hitachi excavator. Then we came back and we actually put the tile in with the HX220. The head too low right along that roadside, because that roadside is pretty steep. I don't want to bury that road divider into the sod along there and peel it under. That'd really make for a great evening. I don't have spares for this head. That's spares for the redheads though. Just play it safe and keep the head up. Go ahead and finish these ends off here. It's going to be interesting to see the yield on this farm. Last year didn't do too bad. 160 bushel the acre. See what it does this year. If everything is hot and dry as it was, I don't know. Adjust that camera a little bit. There we go. Oops. Well, good morning. It's Monday morning. We're going to try to get a little corn picked here before the rain starts. So George is going to run the peat in, dump it, come back. I ended up quitting filming last Saturday night. George's little boy Ryder come and rode with me, and I was teaching him about the combine and things like that, so I wasn't videoing. It was his first time riding in a combine, so we picked some corn, and then we got out and done a walk around. I showed him exactly how the machine worked, and he really enjoyed that. So we're going to get picking here again. Let George get on out of here. We'll get that truck dumped, bring it back. Dad's at the elevator right now with the other truck. We're going to go over here. Well, let's get started here. Had to get out and check some stuff. Clean grain elevator alarm staying off. Well, that's a plus. A little tough this morning yet. Must be in the rows that the planters swerved around that surface drain. That's why there's a little crook in them. So it must be at the end of the next 8 rows. 16-row planter. Down just a little bit. Like it was starting to throw some ears out. Get over this high spot and back into the low spot. bit tough yet this morning. There we go. Saturday night it was dusty. The funny thing is it didn't rain over the weekend. Must have just gained moisture in the stalks from just the kind of being not very sunny all weekend. And we did have some had some pretty dewy nights or night over Saturday and Sunday. So it must have gained a little bit of moisture back in the stalks. Well, I don't know what the deal is with the road slipping. Other than it just must be a little tough. Now that last pass I went all the way through, no trouble at all. Trying to play with head speed and stripper blades, trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe it's just these fluted rolls are a little bit worn. I'd like to try some different rolls in this head. Either some knife rolls or some Calmer stock rolls or something like that. Because these are just the standard John Deere fluted rolls. They seem to work real good when conditions are right. I just wish they would cut stalks up a little bit better. Case IH knife rolls do such a nice job of chewing the stalks up. This corn's short, but it's got some really good size diameter stalks to it. It's got some nice size ears on some of it too for being short. Corn doesn't always have to be tall to make a nice ear. Right here is not so good. I think this drowned it out. It'd be nice to run a line of tile up through that low spot right there. To find out, maybe I can do that. Well, this combine's about full. Dad's not back yet. I'll go jump in his and fill it. Yeah. Well, we switched combines. Got the 2388. Go ahead and fill it up. semi. Got somewhere to dump now. If I would waited another 10 minutes, he could have been picking with his combine. Well, so far so good today. The rain's holding off. We've moved into one of the other fields on the farm. There's basically 3 fields divided by a driveway on this farm. There was a big raccoon down here when I was heading the other way. Let's see if we can flush him off the end. Might have went across, kept going. We'll see. Go slow. I don't want to run him over or run him in the combine. I don't see him moving around down there anywhere. Nope, didn't come out. Must be in there still. Just as soon as I say the rain's holding off, it starts sprinkling. I see it on my windshield. That's great. As long as it don't get too crazy, we'll be able to get this farm done. Well, we're down to the last 8 rows, so I wonder if that raccoon is in here. Maybe. Maybe we'll flush him out this time. I had to take a phone call. My buddy Eric that works for Stark County Co-op on the petroleum side, he's going to move my little propane tank today, and he's going to move it to my new shop. And I'm going to throw my heater out of my old little shop in my new shop temporarily, just to finish off what's in that tank and get me by till I have time to put up some actual good size heat in the building. So I'm kind of curious also just to see how well that little heater will do, or a little furnace I suppose you can call it. So it is I can't remember how many BTUs that one is, like 50,000, maybe 60,000 BTUs. So maybe enough to take the chill off, but that building actually holds heat pretty well. I was impressed with it. If you have the doors open in the afternoon when it's good and warm, it'll hold heat all night long and into the next day. So I think it won't take much to heat it because they insulated it really well. So we'll see what happens. Well, I think this is going to be the last pass. Now it's raining pretty good. Things are pretty wet. That's going to be it. So unfortunately we're going to have to end this episode right here because it's going to be it for picking corn for a little bit. So at least we got a video of some harvest. Something I've been neglecting to get. Just been so busy with everything. So anyways, thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next one. When the weather's fit, we'll get back at it and we'll get some video.